Welcome everybody. Today we're joined by Jeff Sahyoun, best known for his work as guitarist with the band LETLIVE, one of the most influential hardcore bands of the last couple of decades. They disbanded in 2017 and they've since reunited for what they say will be a global farewell tour. And they're touching down in Australia here in September. So Jeff, thanks for joining me today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
You'll be in Australia next month for a string of shows. Um, so how did you guys decide to get back together for this last tour? What was the process like?
I think it kind of developed over the span of maybe, a little over 2 years now, I would say.
Hmm.
I think the entire evolution of this idea, the concept of it all, is just us hanging out and reconnecting and reflecting on, our pastimes and what we've accomplished and where we are in life now, and a lot of dinners, a lot of just spending time together, and just spending quality time together. And I mean, there was a vast amount of time that went by where there was not really much contact between us. And I think so much life has happened. And us now, I mean, this present era of us as individuals, um, it was just inevitable for us to, end up in a studio just jamming. I think it was over at my house for the first time, and nothing for nothing, literally just hanging out. But we kind of sat there and looked at each other, and we are like, "Damn, like it would be awesome to play and rock some Let Live songs a couple times." And the initial conversation first came from us just playing a one-off here in Los Angeles, just for our friends. And then as conversations started to progress, and then we started to revisit The Black is Beautiful, which we re-released, whole new rendition of the mix and master. We thought we'd give it one last go, just for the hell of it, and just to enjoy our moments and give a proper goodbye to everybody, because I don't think we really had the opportunity to do that. And so all things said and done from there, that's kind of how that happens. It's very, very natural.
So it something just felt right about playing together again.
Yeah, of course. That's kind of an irreplaceable kind of chemistry. Especially, I
Hmm.
mean, we've all grown up together, and we've watched one another develop over the years. And again, I mean, time moves so fast in this life that we have, and um, like, why not? So we're here.
Nice. Well, we're all very happy about it.
Yeah, thank you. We're
Uh,
so
so so you joined the band in 2009. And
yeah.
did you all grow up together in LA?
Yep. Yeah, we're all very equal participants in like the local scene and whatnot. We've all had different bands, and um, I used to go to Jason's shows since he was a teenager, and just watch the reckless nature of those performances and the hardcore scene, because I had grown up more of like the pop punk realm
Hmm.
back in the day, more of like the pop side of music. And then Jason would show up at my shows all the time and listen to me cry on stage in a microphone, playing these emo songs. And we just always had this mutual respect. And again, like, I think there's some things in life that are kind of not very explainable to some degree. Um, I think a lot of people in our lives now, even for me personally, like, I'd question how how did all of this happen? How are you still here after 20 plus 30 years? It's crazy, but a lot of blessings in our life, of course, to have these people still in our world, and Jason was one of those for me. I think we've spent a lot of time in the local scene, just continuously running into one another growing up, spending time in studios together. I had engineered some of his stuff back in the day, and it kind of just never stopped. And we're here now. Yeah.
Yeah, LA, I guess, very huge like musical city globally. How
Yeah.
do you think that impacted you guys coming up together, your view of what music is and live shows?
Yeah. I think majorly, especially the local scene out here in the South Bay, where we're all from. And um, the scene was popping back then. I mean, I'm talking 15 plus 20 years, where you could make, I would send out a text message or just make a quick phone call and tell a couple of my friends that maybe, my band was playing in somebody's living room at a house, and there would be hundreds of kids that would show up to these shows. There was countless amounts of venues everywhere. We had the surf skate scene back in the day. It's like Social Distortion, Pennywise. I mean, like all of that was here. Um, Partially sad, or maybe I'm just very detached, but I doubt that. In the local scene, I think just music has changed vastly, like globally. It's not just here, but I think because of that and those influences and where we did spend our time growing up, I think it impacted us tremendously,
Mm.
especially our careers in music. And personally speaking, I didn't really have like many friends growing up and things like that. I'd come here, I moved to California in my early teen years, and music was always an outlet for me, or a way for me to express myself or go to shows and feel equal to everybody in the room. And I think that was a common, there was like common gifts to all of us to have here. And we've all just became friends in these boxes or in these rooms. A lot of the relationships we have, didn't really come from schools and sports or things like that. Even though some of us would partake in said activities, but majority of it was just going to shows. That was life. There was not a single weekend that I could think about as I'm telling these stories to you and reflecting on this that I didn't go to a show growing up. Like that was life. That was the lifestyle. That was everything to all of us. Even now, we'll talk about like the transition and like artist development and how artists or bands even currently are, taking advantage of different avenues that they have to get their music out in the world in the fastest, most powerful way possible. Um, and for us, we rehearsed every day. I think like, or at least 5 out of 7 of those days we were rehearsing, and the jobs that we had paid for the band and paid for the lifestyle, and our schedules were exclusively, organized around band practices, even
Mhm.
though you made no money at band practice or anything like that. But, the part-time gigs that we had and whatever, we'd grab anything just to make a quick buck here and there. But the band was always first. And I think it was a pure dedication to the lifestyle and and our craft, and that's just how we grew up. And some things never change. I find that we're still very, very, very much similar to that. I think we're just wired in such a way. So,
Mm.
yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, the band is
yeah,
sort of central to
yeah.
your lifestyle back then.
Because some of my other family members, like my younger cousins and stuff like that, like there wasn't a lot of music around, not a lot of bands and things like that growing up. And maybe they'd find things on the internet back in the day, or however they tried to discover things like that. But I think that in Los Angeles out here, like the vast amount of exposure we had to it, you had no choice but to be curious about what was going on all the time. So it was very, very impactful in our upbringing.
Mm. Yeah, I wanted to ask you actually how you see as obviously the music industry's changed a lot then, especially with I guess the main things would be streaming and social media totally disrupting the what the foundation of most bands were pre this sort of new era we're in. I guess what do you see as the some of the positives for that for younger bands and up and coming bands now, and what are some of the things that you think maybe missing from the scene today?
Um, Subjectively speaking, and with the most respect, always have to start out like that because I think everybody has different, we'll just call them formulas, um, to take on how to release music. I think like objectively speaking, of course, it's an amazing it's an amazing asset we have as artists to have this sort of distribution that's globalized. You can sign up for DistroKid or TuneCore or whatever, you have worldwide digital distribution to every single streaming platform on earth. It is a great way to get your music out there. It is a way to expose yourself and promote your music and whatnot. But I think sometimes the most challenging aspect in all of that is trying to gain the attention of an algorithm first, which is almost like an AI generated bot, before you can have a direct connection with other humans. And sometimes that's very challenging. Sometimes I feel like now, um, so after Let Live departed, I took a step back from the industry for almost half a decade, almost like 5 or 6 years, to kind of explore other interests that I had in my life. And so for me to come back to all of this now and try to like regroup and almost relearn how the industry is working and things like that. And I will call myself new to it. And I am lucky to be learning and being a part of it in this present, era of music. But it's fucking crazy. Like I think the lack of substance is mind blowing to me sometimes, where um, content creation has become just take precedence over the actual music and the art of it, and the lifestyle of singles versus sitting down and listening to an artist's journey throughout an entire record. I mean, that was such a beautiful thing that we used to have, and even sometimes like the mystery behind the artist and the craving behind trying to get to know them, back in the day versus now, it's creating content just like brush your teeth
Mm.
or what you ate for food, and you know every single thing about their life, and you have record label executives and whatnot demanding this kind of exposure. um, Before you can sometimes get an A&R rep to listen to your record, they're going to look at what your monthly count is looking like. I think a lot of goals for people now is landing a spot on a playlist,
Mm.
to have a post on your social media outlets, and that's kind of all that really is mattering. And I was talking to somebody recently because here I am in a box. I still have old school kind of ethics to how I function, and even sometimes you have management or people like, you need to post, you need to do this, but sometimes I'm in a pocket, and I love being emotionally connected to what I'm creating here. And sometimes it's very difficult for me to stop, to grab my phone, set up a tripod somewhere, just to kind of put on a face for
Mm.
fucking seconds to let people know that, look, I'm creating, this is what I'm doing, this is what my room looks like, this is the process, and then shut it off and then go back to what I'm doing. And I get that. And I know that's a subjective topic, because that is what we're surrounded by now. But I think not even in music to say, I think just the realm of social media and everything now, it's just like finding substance and pure love for one another. Now, I think sometimes our culture is falling short of a lot of that, without us really recognizing it, because we're so subjective to applying ourselves in said ways that are forced upon us. So I don't know. And I don't know where we're headed. And, back in the day, I was able to sell my CDs outside of a store and make money to put gas in my van to get to the next place. And now people are spending so much time online releasing content before they even want to step foot on a stage. But then when they step foot on a stage, they're not seasoned artists. And most of the time, it's just a space bar that you're listening to via a laptop,
Mm.
and everything lip sync or a preset, versus really falling in love with the art and the cadence of like the sonic presence in a fucking room when a band makes mistakes and plays. And it's that connection that I feel personally I miss a lot in music, especially in rock music. And it's not so much how much time you want to spend on the art and making it and having that emotional relationship or the connection with it. It's how do I spend the least amount of time doing this and getting it out to reach as many people as I can after I, find what algorithm is in search of what I created.
Mm-hmm.
Times I have a difficult time understanding that so much sometimes. And then there's the streaming, the ownership of this, the streaming formats who have monopolized the entire industry and collect from every artist. And the royalty exchange is entirely unfair.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do a fucking thing about it because you won't land a place on a playlist until your
Mm.
music goes, or if your TikToks aren't popping or your Instagram stories How do you get somebody to listen to your shit? If you're an amazing artist, would you have millions of other people releasing and even paying for views? They'll gain the attention of somebody before. And sometimes I find that to be very sad and challenging. So, of course, you have to adapt to some, there's got to be some kind of hybrid theory behind that to how to succeed in both realms and keep yourself happy as an artist. But I don't find pure joy or happiness or pure authentic nature of my love for what I do through just collecting content for one day on a Sunday and scheduling posts and then sitting at a dinner table and telling everybody I fucking hustled my balls off to do that. So, and it might just be old school and I could be totally wrong because I can have this conversation with my cousins and they'll tell me I'm full of shit
Mm.
and then I'm old as fuck and you're come and gone. And but I could sit there and I could be like, I can annihilate you on a stage because I can
Yeah.
perform much harder than you can because I'm seasoned like that, and
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. And I say that with the most love and peace to everybody because
Mm.
no one approach is correct. I think it's
Yeah.
everybody on the niche, right?
Yeah. I guess it does feel a bit sort of dirty to reduce something to just numbers when it comes down to streams or views. It's sort of it doesn't really jive with what at least a lot of people see as what should be art or you know.
Yeah. I was having this conversation with Jason recently, actually, because so Jason's a father now, and like I have two beautiful little nieces in my life, and so when these children are born and brought into our world, they can barely be a year old. And if the right beat or the song is presented to them, they move to it. Like I think us as humans, we just have this, there's an innocence to that. And it's free and it doesn't cost any money to feel that. And these children, call them like God's angels in our world. They don't know anything about they can't even say a word yet, but they're dancing and they're moving and then that feels good. How did we lose that? How did we take that away from just the purity of art and the sense of what it should be making us feel and taking something so beautiful as such and then having it compete with a lot of toxicity that was presented to us and then all that we're doing is filling other people's pockets just to put our money our songs out there and they collect and brag about it but you
Mm.
sit here you have to work jobs and you can't put the time that you want into your art because you have to work a full-time job and there's people who took away from the purity of nature of music and art and I only hope that one day that people really recognize that it is a free asset we have in this life and it's a very powerful thing that we have and I think having the substance and love and that connection to that would be a really beautiful thing to reinvent somehow because I feel like we're losing that.
Mm. Yeah, well, I guess you can never take away the live show. That'll always be
That'll always be ours,
that'll always be it. Is that for you? That's the number one thing is the performing.
Yeah, it's the best feeling in the world. It's like sit in a room with energy like that and feel the vibration of everyone coming together to escape reality for a minute and just be there with you and connect and that's like the strongest connection we have now. I feel is
Mm.
being face to face, but I want to play and I want to sweat on my fretboard. Like I want to give you back all of the energy and everything that you came here to watch me deliver, um, versus lip syncing and everything or just hitting a space bar and pretending like I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And that's become vast norm in a lot of shit right now. But um, how else do you connect? Like I don't know. I really, or maybe again, like I'm disconnected because I am relearning and I'm reshaping the way I'm approaching a lot of this presently. But um, yeah, the live show is something that's never been altered at all. Like we still have that.
Hmm. Well, yeah, so after stepping away from the band in 2017, when you guys took your, I guess now we call it a hiatus,
Mhm.
did you do any touring in that period or I know you
Yeah,
had your, yeah, own project.
Yeah, did a lot of session work behind the scenes. I wrote for a lot of artists. Like I never really stopped creating. Um, I played with Joe. I played in Nothing Nowhere for a minute, right before Let Live stuff happened. I released a new project called Erase Theory. Where I dropped two EPs, um, which I'm grateful for. And I'm sitting on a lot of new music right now that I'm trying to figure. As we have this conversation, like I know I'm subconsciously thinking about like how the fuck do I put my music out? What's the best approach to this? How do you? Um, so yeah, I did a lot of work with Frank Zumo from Sum 41, a lot of his side project, solo stuff. Um, Cairo the Hero. I've got to. I'm very lucky to be able to still be doing what I'm doing,
Mhm.
and I think my main objective in this life was to stay happy and healthy, be the best form of myself, and continue to create. So long as I found a way to eliminate the financial burden and stresses from the music, because I think it kind of altered the process and kind of took away from the pure happiness that we've just been talking about. Um, because I had to hold down a full time job and reinvent myself and try to find my way around this world like everybody else. So I'm very, very, very lucky to be here right now doing this the way that I'm doing it. It's fucked up. And doing it with my brothers again. That's
Mhm.
just never thought,
Yeah, well,
imagine, thought that would happen.
yeah, I guess after what would be 8 years since you guys last played a big show together or did a big tour, how do you look at this upcoming tour? How do you see it differently to how you did back then? Is there any now that you're wiser and you've had so much time to reflect, what's your approach to touring now?
I have no idea. We're still the same. We're still the same group of fucking misfits, dude, that are just no fucks given at all. And we're just doing what we love. And I
Hell
think
yeah.
we just love doing it together. And I think that is something very magical that we're never going to be able to replace in this life. And we're still switching songs out 5 minutes before we get on stage. We're still it's the same shit. I think just now, just even us as humans off the stage, stage is stage. I think those that performance will always be that. Probably even more energized now because you have a little more sense of appreciation towards it. Um, because back then you never really. I'll personally speak about how I never really envisioned it ever going away, and so I think the value I held wasn't as deep as it is today for me. So, and I think we have those interests in common, like throughout our entire camp. It's where we're here today, and these minutes matter. And not even through music. I just think in life in general, and just trying to be the best version of yourself.
Hmm.
Um, Show up.
That perspective comes with time.
A lot of time, a lot of depression, a lot of time, a lot of challenge, a lot of failures, a lot of anxiety, a lot of teaching yourself to get the fuck back up and that nobody's ever going to care love you more than you love yourself and care for whatever you got going on in this life. um, and that everybody, all of us, our minutes are borrowed here, and I think we're all trying to get through this life thing the same as everybody else is, and just learning to be there for one another and being a support mechanism in this life, and showing love to everybody. We have a huge backdrop that says love on stage with us, and we really, really emphasize on that and trying to formulate more unity in this world versus the divide that's presented to us like every fucking angle in this world. So
Mhm.
it takes a lot of time and a lot of strength, and something that I am proud of myself about. To be able to get the fuck back up, and now, like, no matter what happens in this world, it's more always about what happens for you versus what happens to you in this life. And once I truly digested that, I think it changed my entire outlook on being alive and being human and doing life.
Mm. Well, it's a beautiful sentiment, and I guess we can end it here with one last question.
Sure.
On meaning, as you were saying, I guess, what do you see as being the ultimate meaning to music in the world and to the music you make? Well, what's the purpose of it to you?
Love. I think it's love. I think love is the strongest asset we're given and we're given to us on earth. There's nothing else that beats that. That could beat the shit out of you and end you and trigger the same nerve endings, as a death would. But it can also be the greatest high you have in this world. And I think music translates to that, and it's the most direct connection to that we have, because music will always be there for us no matter what happens, no matter what you're going through in life, whether that's a birth, a death, a wedding, um, again, like depression, anxiety, happiness, time at the gym, time with family, holidays. Music is always there. It's always in the background, and we'll always have it. And I think for us, and the thing that we're just distributing now through the art is just trying to never lose grasp of that connection and the beauty that we have behind it, because that's the best, one of the best and unpriced investments you can ever make, is never losing the connection that you can have to music and the art. And I hope us as people never lose sight of that and can bring it all to life again in a much more powerful way and create more unity in this world from love,
Mm.
from music and the art. So
That's a beautiful sentiment to end it on.
yeah.
Jeff, thanks so much for spending time with me this morning on this. It's a pretty crisp, cold Melbourne morning. Hopefully it'll warm up a bit by the time you guys are here in early September. But on behalf of the Alternative Journal and everyone on our team, thanks so much for joining me today. I'll let you get back to your music. I have to get to work. But Jeff, thanks very much. Glad to see
Yeah.
you guys back together, and I look forward to seeing you in September.
Can't wait, dude. Please say hello. We will definitely see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Cheers.